So, why am I relevant to talk to you about this specific subject? So, my name is Corentin. That's so French. Sorry about that. Apologies for my accent for you guys, but I'm gonna try to be as relevant as I can. I'm an SEO and content expert for a bit less than 10 years now. For this conference, I've calculated that I've worked on around 1,000 different projects with different constraints, with different goals, with different teams, resources, etc., etc. So I try to share a bit of that experience with you guys. And I also manage the activities of Semji here in Canada. We are based in Montreal. What we do is that we are an AI-based platform for your SEO and content marketing. So we have one mission. This mission is to increase the performance of your online content and your online pages. How do we do that? We do that with three main processes that we help you to identify and prioritize your battles, your content that you will have to focus on, because when you are JSKI, that when you are Broadsign, when you are big companies like that, you have thousands and thousands of content on your website, but you're not able to say, okay, I'm going to focus on that because you don't know, you don't have the knowledge to do it, you don't have the data to do it, so we do it for you. Then we will help you to get to know what Google is expecting from you, from your copywriters, from your content teams, and guide your teams through that process, and also helps you to measure and analyze the result of each of your actions. We do that with big clients, such as those ones, but also with smaller companies, such as accounting companies, such as clinics, such as whatever. Our main sectors are commerce, for sure. It's also health, and it's also the finance sector. We work a lot with banks. But enough about us. What are we going to talk about today is mainly that how to improve your content strategy. So first, what is a content strategy? We're going to talk about it for a bit less than 1 hour, so we have to define it before starting. So then we will have to explain how to improve your previous work, how to optimize your already made investments, and how to stay up to date, to stay on top, and how to do it in the most efficient way. Let's get to it. Then that's my definition. It's not the actual definition. I'm not Wikipedia, but that's my definition. To me, a content strategy is a set of choices and decisions that have to aim some results. And those results, you have to define them. Those goals have to be clear for you, of course, but also for every stakeholders engaged in your project. And you have to communicate with your teams, with your externalized teams. It can be agencies, it can be whoever you want, but everybody has to be clear on those goals. Otherwise, you will not be able to have results. And I can give you 100 examples on projects on which I was happy, but the client was not, because I was not able to say, okay, you want those results. And I was talking about traffic and he was talking about conversion, or the opposite. So you have to be clear on that. And it's also a set of choices and decisions about resources. When we talk about content, you have two weapons mainly. The first one will be creation of new content. And the question you have to talk, you have to be able to answer or get an answer from someone else is, am I visible on every topics I should? Am I better than my competitors on my strategic topics? And what will be the market in like 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, maybe 24 months, 2 years? Why? Because when we talk about SEO, we have to anticipate. We have to see things in the future. So answer to this question, and maybe you will have the answer to create new content. The second weapon you can use is the optimization of existing content. And when we talk about optimization, then we'll have two questions. Do you have existing content? In 99% of cases, you do. And can you perform better on those pages than you are already doing? But if you think that when you are done with your creation and optimization strategy, and when you know how many contents you have to produce, on what type of keywords, or with which type of content, you are done, you're so wrong. Because the most important part is the scheduling part, the planning part. So you have to let your teams, and it can be in-house or it can be with an agency or whatever, you have to let them have the time to produce quality content. And only then, with and through that production process, you will have results. That's my definition. But you can see that it's not that easy to have a good content strategy. So why would we bother? And we have to bother because, on average, website with an editorial strategy, a blog, an how-to type of content, an editorial strategy generates on average 67% more conversion than others in Northern America, so US and Canada-based websites. So that means that if you are in e-commerce, maybe that's 70% more leads, more conversion. If you are a B2B company, more leads. Imagine the face of your sales director if you go to him and you say, okay, I'm going to be able to give you 70% more leads. I'm quite sure you will be happy. You will? You would? Okay. So basically, that's why we are working on that kind of strategy. So you have to see it as a profit-based strategy. It's all about increasing your leads, your lead generation, your revenue, your number of conversion. And we do that to increase your credibility. This credibility can be about your brand, your product. It can be about your teams. When you are, let's say, an accounting company and you sell counsel to advice to other firms, you have to be credible. So that can help you to increase that credibility. It will help you to guide your potential buyers through the buying decision process. It will help you to be more visible on Google. And here you have to know that 81% of your customers or your potential customers will look to Google before buying a product. It's 81%. And if you are in the B2B industry, it's even more important because that figure, 81%, will become 94%. So if you are your companies, you have to know that your buyers will look to Google before buying your product to get to know maybe what the users think about you, your company, your product, etc. So if you are not visible on those subjects, your competitors will, maybe media will, and it will not be at your advantage. And to be more visible, you will have to gain some position. You will have to increase the spectrum of keywords on which you are positioned. You will have traffic gains, etc., etc. So it's a must-have strategy. And yet 20% of marketers in North America don't find the time to create even one content per month. That's not a huge word, but yet 20% of marketers don't find that time. And even when they find that time to create new content regularly with consistency, they do it the wrong way. And only 9% of online contents will get traffic from Google. It's not huge traffic. It's only one visit per month. That means that 91% of your content effort is wasted money. It's for nothing. So you have to be very qualitative in the approach you will have to have good results. And that's the reason why Semji have been created, because it's not possible that on a website only 9% of content gets traffic. So we increase that figure from 9 to 90%. And the result of it is that when you do things right, when you do things big, you take it all, because you're the only one that's doing things the right way. So on average, when you produce 60 content per month and more, so that's quite a lot, I agree with that, but that totally, you can do it. You will take on average 4 times more traffic than the others. So you can win big if you do things right and if you are not shy by doing it. So how to sustain a profitable content strategy? And that's going to be our plan for today. The first thing is that you will have to optimize your existing content with consistency. The second thing is that you will have to create new content also with consistency. And you will have to get a logic, to get something in your mind is, how can I save time while creating new content, while optimizing existing content? So let's get to the practical things. How can we optimize existing content, and why should we do it? Why? The first thing is that you will have to work to keep your current position in traffic. When you have a website that exists for years, for many years sometimes, and you have good traffic, you have good position on your strategic keywords, it's in itself an achievement to keep your position. Because when you are the leader, everybody's looking at you, everybody's doing their homework, they're doing to push you away because they want to get your place. And when you're not in that place, you want to be there. So it's an achievement in itself. And you as managers, because you are managers, you are buyers, sometimes for agencies, for services, you have to know that in itself, keeping your current position and keeping your current traffic is an achievement. It's already a good thing. It's not only about growth, but it's more interesting to talk about growth than our position. So it's also about making a profit from investments that you've already made. You have to see your website, your existing pages, as a stock market investment. And it would not be possible for you to invest on a company in the stock market and to look the other way for years and expect to have results. It won't happen. It would be luck. And we don't want to be only relying on luck. So we have to look at things. We have to optimize the way we do things to have a return on investment. And we also have to update our content to stay up to date, because your pages have product information, maybe they have figures, they have scientific statistics, they have lots of things within the content, and so it has to stay up to date. And we also have to have an approach where we have to keep our credibility in the eyes of your audience, of course, but also for Google. Many of you work in the health industry. You deal with people's life within your business, within the health sector, within the sports sector, within the finance sector. And you have to know that when you have a website that deals with people's life, you are called by Google a website that is YMYR, your money, your life. If you don't know about that kind of thing, about the set of rules that Google's put upon you, that are called the EAT rules, expertise, authority, trust, you have to know them. So get closer from your agency, get closer from your in-house experts, get closer to me if you don't have those in-house. But you have to know that you have to be credible. You have to respect a different set of rules than e-commerce that's selling like socks or other products that don't deal with the person. And we do all of that to stay ahead of the competition. So how can we do it? I'd say to identify your obsolete pieces of content, you'll have to follow a set of rules. Here, we won't optimize everything on your website. We won't optimize all the pieces of content on your website because it's not possible to do it and it would not be profitable. So you have to make choices. You have to prioritize. And here, to prioritize, my rule, and I can give you that advice, is to follow the same I use, is to be lazy and business oriented at the same time. What does that mean? Being lazy is about only investing your time where you can win big. If you can win like 10 clicks, we don't care about that. Your time is more valuable than that. Except in specific business, such as when you sell big industry products that can have huge effort investment, but that's a specificity. And be business oriented is not listening to us, SEO specialists, that talks a lot about traffic, about position. We don't care about that. It's a mean, it's not a result. So you have to think about what will make your business profitable. It can be average basket, it can be margin, it can be your potential to cross-sell the product, it can be strategic interest to annoy a competitor on a topic, it can be whatever you want. And based on that, you will have to use a prioritization system, both for knowing on which topics you can win big, so for your SEO potential. That score can be about your pure potential, that can be the search volume of the keywords you are targeting, and the difficulty to do it. Who are you fighting? What's the length of your content versus the content of your competitors? What type of efforts your competitors have worked on, and how many contents they have worked on a subject? That can be all those kind of things. And here you can do it by hand, but it will take lots of time to do it. Or you can get help from an AI. We do it with a score that you can see here, and it's really understandable by every marketer, by every person that have eyes. You have a 5-star, it's more priority than when you have a 3-star. So that's a machine learning that will tool that will help you to prioritize for your SEO potential. And you will have to do the same with the business potential. Here, it's not about SEO. It's about how much can I gain for my business. So it's going to be about advertising, marketing, all these aspects. And do this work every season for each of your websites, for each of your business, or each of your market. So that can be a great, a huge work to do. So schedule that time in your agenda, otherwise you won't do it. And why every season is important? Because I think you are a sport good company or a nail salon company. Of course, you will not have the same prioritization during the summer and during the winter. You will not have the same prioritization in the US and in Canada and in France and in every market, because the search volume are not the same, the competitors are not the same, Google does not expect the same from you, etc., etc. So that's it on that point. And we will have to stay humble. Why? Because it's a living process. Even if you do things perfectly, you follow all of those advice, you've worked really well, it's not said that you will have the results you expect. Why? Because Google is a tricky tool, and sometimes you will have surprises. So you have to be able to adapt, and to adapt, you will have to measure, track, and analyze your results. And please focus on a few indicators. Don't say, okay, I'm going to track like 20 different indicators, because you won't. In the long run, you won't track 20 indicators for each of your contents. It's not possible. You don't have the time to do it. So track maybe 2, 3, 5 key indicators for you. It can be traffic, it can be conversion, it can be, for us, for example, it's a demo request. That's the thing that is interesting for our business. So track the things and target on your already optimized pages, on your already published pages, if you have declines in position, in performance, to see if you have to reschedule to adapt your production. And that means that for each piece of content, for each keyword you target, for each topic you target, you will have to analyze the top 3 of the search. Because if they are within the top 3, it's not by luck, it's only because they are better than you on that page. And that means what I call analyze, that means what type of content do they have they create? That can mean the subject, that can mean the type of contents, that can mean the questions they are answering, that can mean the type of media that you can find into the page, that can mean lots of things. So for each pages that you will create or optimize, you will have to do this analysis by hand. So you see that it can take much time. On average, it's 4 hours. Or you can get help from an AI that will do this work for you, and it will be like a 5-minute work. And based on that data, you will have to update the subject, the intent, and the data within your piece of content to close the gap with your competitors And of course, what we try to do is to be better than them and to outrank them. And when I talk about AI, I talk mainly about this tech. I don't know if you've ever heard about GPT-3. GPT-3 is a company founded by Elon Musk. Elon Musk is everywhere. It's a huge tech that works a bit like a brain, a small brain, like yes, but it works exactly like a brain. That means that it's creative. It will create content that's intelligent, relevant, and unique. That's the thing that's interesting for SEO because that's unique. So even if your competitors is using the same tech, you will have different pieces of content. But it's an AI. It's a machine, and it's not really interesting to read when you read content generated by GPT-3. So you can get help from tools like us that integrate that tech and that will give you all the information your piece of content can be written, can work on, can put forward, etc., etc. So then, because you will have an already generated content through GPT-3, through AI writing, you only have to reformulate. You will only have to bring in your product pitch, your brand pitch, what makes you unique, and your copywriters only do their work. They don't do the boring stuff because the AI have already done the boring stuff and the time-consuming task for them. And because you will be able to do things faster, you will be able to optimize more content, and that's a virtuous circle. If you don't need to create more content, that's time that you can use to work on other project that will help your SEO performance. That can be technical project, that can be net linking project, authority project, that can be whatever you want, but you have time, so use it to increase your performance. But anyway, you do it by hand or you do it with AI, you can, the process will be the same. At first, you will have to know what it is about. What's the contest? What's the competition? What are they talking about? What's the different topics they are aiming for, they are writing about? What's the different intents? What's the questions that Google wants us to answer? And you have those information directly into Google. So for running shoes, for example, because I'm French, it's tell me femme, but it's going to be about women, about the best running shoes in Montreal. Maybe it's going to be about difference between a trail running shoes and a running shoe, between a sneaker and a running shoe, between the different brands of running shoes, etc., etc. You have that information directly when you type something and anything in Google. So you have to understand what it is about. And there is some questions that are visible on Google. And those are what we call PAA questions, people also ask questions. It's so important to answer to those questions. It's not a hazard if you can see lots of Q&A section on website right now. It's only to be visible on those sections because the CTR of pages that are here are on average 25% more than the others. The CTR is click-through rate, the number of clicks with a single page. And those questions are also visible on Google. And so you have to take that into account and answer to those questions in your piece of content. And maybe something that you can aim for is doing the same as Corentin. Corentin is a client that works for an e-commerce website that is called ADPM. It's an e-commerce website with 200,000 different products, so huge, with only 2% to deal with the e-commerce on the digital team. So saving time is a must for them. So they use us, they use different process, different AI system. And he said to me, like 2 months ago, it's simple. I don't have to do a single brief anymore because the AI does it for him. I save a lot of time, from 2 to 3 days per month. Imagine if you can save up to 3 days per month. What you can do, maybe go for a weekend, or maybe work on different projects, or produce more because you have that time available. So now you know how to create and optimize your content, and you've seen that the process is kind of the same, even if you have differences. So now it's about saving time again. And I'll try to answer to a few questions to help you doing that. The first one is, how much time should I allow for the production? And I will answer that it depends. Sorry about that typical SEO answer, but it will depend. But you have to know that optimizing content takes as much time as creating new content. And it's not logical at first. At first, I was like, no, it's not possible because you already have a content. So it's not that much as creating a new one. But it is from experience. And you have three cases that you can work on. The two first one is, it's like if you are creating content, you start from scratch. Those two first are when you have no page, when you have no editorial text in your page. So of course you have to start from scratch. It's also when you have a page that treats the wrong search intent. That is around about a wrong search intent. Like you are trying to rank with a transactional page on an informational intent. That won't work because Google don't expect that from you. So you will have to create a new content completely. And the last one is about adapting. You already have a content that's the right intent on it, but you don't have the right results, the results you expect. So you have to adapt them. And for that to happen, you will have to decide what's good, what's not good, what you keep in the content, what you want to remove. And often that work, the first work, the first writing version of the content have been done by someone else. And it's not that easy to understand what is in someone else's mind. So it takes time. So you have to understand that you have to let time as managers to do that to your teams or to your agencies. And on average, a piece of content takes 4 hours and 1 minute. Let's say 4 hours. So that's huge work. That's a figure when you work everything by hand, when you do everything manually. But of course, you can save time by using AI. I said before that it's around 2 to 4 hours. If you don't have that time, you can save up to 2 to 4 hours for obvious reasons. And why it's increasing? You can see that in the last years, the time is increasing a lot. Why? Because the competition is more and more aggressive, because you can win big, and also because Google expects you to be more and more qualitative. You can see that in the last 3 years, it's kind of the same. The increase is have stopped. So why? Because here in 2018, I think, there was some algorithm changes that are called BERT and MUM, like a mom, that were about the quality of how Google understand the text. Before that, it was keywords. It understand keywords, but not the logic, not the relevancy and the expertise within your content. Now, the comprehension of Google from a content is like ours, almost. So we have to be more qualitative than before, and of course, we have to put more work in to have the right results. So when you plan content, that means that if you don't have tools, if you only have a computer to do the work, for one content, it's 4 hours. So if you want to create 10 content per week, 40 hours. So you have to have the team or you have to pay for that. So you understand now why you pay that much for that kind of project. So a second question, what proportion of new and existing content in your schedule each month? Here again, it depends, because depending on who you are, where you start from, it won't be the same. If you are big companies with thousands of content into its website and thousands of content that gets no traffic, of course, the optimization will take the lead because you have lots of things to do on the optimization side of things. But if you've just started your website like 6 months ago, like 1 year ago, and maybe you will have like 50 contents into your website, maybe 100, of course, creation will take the lead. So it's not about how many contents, but the logic of it. So always aim for a joint production for both types of content to have that logic and to be able to adapt to the situation and not to let any opportunities left behind. And my advice on that would be to relaunch your analysis every 3 to 6 months on existing content, every season, I've already said, or every semester. And if you don't have seasonalities in your business, that does not happen that often, but sometimes it does. Do it every year because your competition is moving forward, because the algorithm is moving very fast. Last year, we counted like 1,200 different changes in Google's algorithm. So if you don't adapt to that, you're dead. It won't work in the long run. And even when you are first on your keywords, on your topics, and I'd say even more if you are first, because everybody's looking at you, everybody is looking at what you're doing and why you're here. So they're trying to push you away, they're trying to do better things than you. So you have to anticipate and stay in advance of your competition. And it's going to be kind of the same for new content IDs. You have to anticipate and be visible on the new trending topics, on the new key topics, key strategic topics of your business. And you have to plan all of that on a monthly base or on a quarter base. But I have to help you. That's why I'm here today. So I can give you some questions that you have to be able to answer to know what proportion of new and existing content to plan. Those 5 questions are: what would be a realistic number of contents per month? Because now you know that one content is 4 hours. So depending on the size of your team, on the size of your budget, if you do it externally, what would be a realistic number of content per month? Do I have what we call low-hanging fruits? That means low effort, big win content. Of course, if you have like content that is is on the 5 position in Google, but and you can win lots of traffic and conversion on that, maybe it have to be optimized very quickly. What gains can I expect? Is it an informational type of content and the conversion will be quite long to expect? Or is it a transactional page, like a category page? Of course, a transactional page will be more priority, will have will be more prioritized. Sorry about that. And then what's the competitors' velocity in content production? So that will depend on your business. I've seen so often, like in the finance sector, in the health sector, big companies, historic ones, are getting overwhelmed by the competition because they are not able to adapt as fast as a startup. In the bank industry, because there is some of you that work in the health industry, so I will not take that example because that can be not good for you to understand that, but that's going to be kind of the same in the bank industry. Big banks like I'm not going to give name, but you know all the big banks in Canada and the US, they don't have the capacity to say, okay, that's going to be a trending topics in 6 months, because the time to produce new content, to validate the content, and to integrate the content into the website, it is 6 months, because they have a validation process that's so painful. So when you are a fintech and you try to rank on that, like on what is optimization, because you want the entrepreneurs to get into your website, to look into your website, you will do that in maybe 1 week. So 1 week versus 6 months, of course, you will have more results. So sometimes we see that small companies, like 10-person companies, have more traffic than thousands of employees companies, because they're better on that, because they are more adaptable. And do you have strong seasonalities? Because of course, if you have strong seasonalities like a sports good company, of course, you will have to do this work every season. That's mandatory. If you don't have that much seasonality, maybe you can do this work every semester or every year. Sorry. It's time to conclude because we'll have 20 minutes for questions and for practical cases if you have some. So 3 things to remember. The first one is optimize your content regularly, be consistent. That's mainly, if you have to understand one thing today, it's that. Be consistent. Don't say, okay, I'm going to write content and pass to another project in 2 weeks, because it's not going to work. Don't do it at all if you are in that logic. So if you want to have performance through content on your website, do it with consistency. Do the analysis with consistency, at least every 6 months or every year if you don't have seasonalities, and adapt to your competitors and new Google's expectation. As in product, if you have a product that's not working, you will adapt the product, or you will delete the product from your range. It's exactly the same with content into your website. When you go for a thematic, when you go for a topic, go big, or don't go at all. Because it's not going to work if you try to be positioned with one piece of content on a competitive topic. It's not going to work. So you will have to create what we call topic cluster strategies, skyrockets strategies, to be omnipresent on those keywords. And then you will have to find new ideas of content, new trends. I've talked about it earlier. And you have to do everything to save time. That can mean using new tools, new technologies, new processes to work with different teams. That can be the integrator team, the copywriters team, that can be the whole marketing team. Sometimes it will be the legal department. Often it's the legal department or the quality departments that are not adaptable at all. If you want to increase and to scale your production, you have to get everybody engaged and everybody with that logic, saving time whenever we can. I think that's all for me. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening to me. If you have any questions, we have 20 minutes and 30 seconds. But I'm also available with my email, corentin.mirande@semji.com, and with my LinkedIn. You can take pictures of that and we can engage whenever you want. Thanks.